You have an image that needs adjusting, but the whole image doesn't need the adjustment. It's only an area. I'm going to show you two ways that you can do that with two different images. Open up Kripalu 0101, hold down the Control key then, and click on this one too, 2495. Open both of those. Let's start with Mr. Tiger. New introduction to our zoo. This was his first walk into the cage area. He's too dark on one side, probably okay on the other. And we're going to start with this tool right here. And if you click this one right there, let me show you that, right there, it's going to open up over here the options for the graduated filter. All of these things can be controlled literally with a gradient. Now check this out. Come over here. I'm going to draw all the way across. I'm also holding the Shift key down so it draws a nice perfect straight line. Now check out what it's doing. What it's doing is it's changing right now the exposure. But it's doing it using a gradient. A gradient that we're not seeing goes from one color to another. What the computer is using is the gradient as a map to apply the graduated filter. Well, we could do anything we want here. My goal is to just kind of lighten it up on that side. So with a very simple technique, where one part of an image in a very linear way is one thing, we can use that tool to effectively change it. Now, we don't need to do this, but understand, I can come back over here. I could put it at an angle. I could make it smaller. I could add another one and have another one going in a different direction. If you have an image where the information is not uniform to where you can just say go to exposure and change it, this would be one way to do it. Now, let's look at this other one down here. In this one, it's not quite so straightforward. That's my wife. If you can see her, they're walking on that path. Kind of dark in that area. Happy with what's going on over here. That's not linear. So what I'm going to do is pick up this tool. This one right here. Let me make sure you know that one right there. When I move into the document, you see the brush right there. It's a solid black line, and there is a dotted line around it. The solid black line is the full force of the brush, and the dotted line is where it feathers out to. Now, if we come all the way down here, you can see we have size and feathering. So if I change the size, well, the brush is going to get bigger. And if I change the feathering, that will change that too. So I'm going to take that back up to about 90 or so. And let's make that brush a little bit smaller. When we use the gradient influenced where the change happened. All this stuff. When we paint, the paint now influences where the change is. If I come over here, let's take that down just a little bit on exposure. And if I come over here and I begin painting, let's kind of maybe come out to there and stop, and then come up here. Now, if I come down a little bit, I can say show the mask. So I need a little bit more in this area to make it consistent. I'm going to kind of stop it as it gets to this lighter area over here and see what we got. I'm going to turn that off again. Now, if I come back up to exposure, I can literally change just that area. Now, I want another one right about here this way, because I don't think it needs exactly the same type of adjustment. So I'm going to click New. You also have an erase button if you want to get rid of stuff. I'm going to come over here and begin painting this area out. Try where it interacts with that one. Kind of like that. And stop it at that edge where all that light area is. Again, that's a little bit more than what I want. So I'm going to go to exposure on this one, and I know I'm working with that one because there's a black dot on that magnifying glass right there. I'm going to come over here to exposure and maybe sneak that one down just a little bit. Total control over both of these areas, doing exactly what I want it to do, lightening up some areas and leaving others like here alone because they're fine. Using a gradient or using a paintbrush in RAW allows you to make very precise, minute adjustments. I love those tools. On to the next.